What's up, everybody? Welcome to the B&D Connection. My boy D, my boy Mike on here, but I'm gonna give D the honors today to do his thing.
Hey man, we have uh West Wego finest. Mike Perry. First and foremost, man, I want to say congratulations on the job that you accepted at Higgins as the baseball coach. Man, I tip my hat off to you, salute you on that, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say, man. It's an honor to have you on the show, and people just want to hear your story, man.
Yo, yeah, so D, appreciate the intro. Ben, appreciate the intro. Man, this is a blessing because at the end of the day, to see us three guys still talking about things from the past and just being in kids' lives and in the community is good stuff. So I appreciate you guys having me on for this evening.
Thanks for coming, Mike.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, so man, look, the best way to break the ice is just to let the world know, man, you're looking at legitimately three brothers that it's reality, dudes that just love playing sports, grew up together every day. Only time we stayed inside is if we couldn't play because it was raining,
Yes,
or
sir.
somebody told us that you definitely can't play, or being me getting punished some type of way. So that'd be the only time we didn't go outside. So, but man, my life experiences in Tanglewood, growing up with Delvin and Ben, is what created me today. We had a tight knit group. Every morning we woke up at 7:30, 8 o'clock. Whatever sport was being played professionally is what we were playing. And the competitive atmosphere it was so good that everybody wanted to play. Neighborhoods would come to us because they knew how competitive it was. Myself being the bigger guy, being the older guy, I used to purposely play against you guys to try and keep my game up because you were younger, you were faster, you guys could jump higher. So it made me work harder. So that's the main thing that I love the most because when we got at it, we got at it. It was no, we were friends. We
Yes,
dapped each
sir.
other up. We went to 6'10" after we played the game. But while we playing, it was no love. We all pushed each other to the max. So that was one thing that I take with me every day, and I push it on to my kids, just probably like you do when you coaching and stuff as well. So I push 100% effort at all times. If you can't give me that, then I ask you to either sit on the side or go to the house. Because if I could do it being the bigger guy against the smaller guys all the time, there's no excuse not to give 100%. So, and that's everything in life. But I actually want to reach out and just give a story of outside of us growing up, of where where life took me being older than y'all two, um, athletically, and where I'm at today. Um, it's a quick story. It's gonna be one of those quick hitters that it's either gonna you're just gonna grab your attention or you gonna turn us off. But it's a good story. It's one of those things that I preach to all kids. So two things that I love the most that I always preach is just the diversity of us growing up. We had
Hmm.
every ethnicity. There was nothing but just love, man. If you play ball, you play ball. If you didn't play ball, go do your thing. We really wouldn't even worry about you. So
Yes, sir.
that's one thing that made me grow up and love passionately about everything. So it also taught me how to become a coach and teach everybody. If I teach one kid, I teach every kid. So that was
Yes,
the first
sir.
thing. Second thing is just being the guy that I knew my strong suit was baseball. I could play basketball a little bit. You dudes were basketball players. I played personally just to give you guys something to challenge and have to do every day to make your game better. I could have
Right.
stayed inside, but I didn't because I loved it. But I know if I get on the court with y'all two, at first it's gonna be like, yeah, I'm just gonna play them. I'm gonna guard them. I'm gonna let them do their thing so they can practice on the skill set. And then after you scored the first 2 points on me, I'm like, the dude's not scoring anymore. I'm not letting him score.
Right.
You know, you eventually would score and drop 10 to 20 on me easily, but I made you earn every bucket. You wouldn't get in
Right.
buckets. You would just, and then we went to football. And you two guys played more football than me because I was an O lineman. So playing O line, I'm blocking for you two. But when we played at home, I had to tackle you two. And that was
Right.
a challenge. So that made me I was like Rocky chasing the chickens in the chicken coop trying to try to get myself faster. That's what I felt like. Um, but the quick story is um, everybody from here in New Orleans knows that Archbishop Shaw in the 90s was a great program. Had an opportunity to go there, play sports, and get a good education, but turned it down. Two things. First, I was a knucklehead, didn't listen to anybody, but I was also smart enough to say, why go play with all the good kids? I want to go to Higgins, make a name for myself, and let everybody know, hey, this Perry kid can play. That was my idea. So I didn't go to Shaw. Every day it bit me in the tail today because I could have played for state championship football. The dudes won a Legion State Baseball Championship in '97. I had those opportunities, but the thing that made it worth it was playing against those guys, playing
Mhm.
against your Brett Jacksons, your Torrey Walkers, still straight up guys that I love to this day. But those experiences and playing against just different people and showing people that you didn't have to go to Shaw, that you can go to Higgins and be competitive, and it taught me how to be a leader. That's the biggest thing. That's what brought me to this day, is because I went out on my own to a public school and said, if I can't win, I'm gonna teach other people how to win, and that's what
Mhm.
made me today. So it's good stuff. I went to Higgins, had a great baseball career, didn't play football. Give you a quick story why I didn't play football. Um, 3 years of high school, we were absolutely terrible.
Mhm.
I wish Leonard Bridges was on here because he would be the guy that would be like, Mike, don't even tell him this story, man. But I think 3 years of high school, we were 1-29 in football. No
Mhm.
lie. The day we won was like the day that the Saints won the NFC championship. I thought they were going to give us a parade. They were going to shut school down, everything. But we had talent, just everybody was on separate ways. And I'll give a story of why I left, man. I was a sophomore coming in, coaching staff had us not even 2 days. We just practicing at Higgins one day, told us to take off running around the football field. So I took off running. Everybody's running. Well, then all of a sudden, all the upperclassmen just stopped running. Like, this is my story to this day. And I seen these dudes stop running. And I asked the coach, why these dudes are not running? Couldn't give me an answer. So I told myself when I came in the locker room, I said, I'm not coming back tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm done. I quit playing.
Right.
Brought me back in the office, asked me to come play. I wasn't a superstar, but they were like, I need big bodies. We need more offensive linemen. Don't quit on me type deal. But never played a snap in a game at Higgins because there was no discipline. So I was raised a little different, just like you two guys. My pops coaching all three of us. I
Right.
had more fear with my dad coaching us three than anybody else.
Yeah.
And we had some good guys that coached us. But the baseball side was very good to me. Played all 3 years of high school baseball, grew a lot of friendships, went back to Higgins for that reason to coach because they have kids. And the reason I went back is because of this story. Me, myself, Ben, Delvin, going to Higgins. Ben, I know you moved away before we went to Higgins, but we had people in place to make us better, but nobody to push us to the next level. And that
Mm-hmm.
was the thing that absolutely drove me insane because we had guys, basketball, football, baseball wise, that should have been playing athletically, collegiately, and even some guys professionally. If we were training right, if we were doing things right, I'd feel that 100% because we had just as good of players at Higgins as Eric, West Jeff, and Shaw. And we proved it plenty of times in the sports we played until we got to high school because they basically ganged up on us. It was 4 schools against 1 school. That's how it was.
Right, right,
But going to Higgins taught me a lot because I told myself when I went to Southeast and I came back home and said, man, I said, I'm changing the game when I come back home. It's going to take me a couple years. I said, but I'm not going to allow kids from the inner city, kids from the suburbs, kids from Tanglewood, if they can play ball, I'm gonna help them find a spot to play because nobody helped me. That was my goal, my mission in life.
right.
It finally happened. 2012, really 2011, I started recruiting on my own separate. I have all the big name recruiting companies around. I don't need to mention them, but started my own thing because I was like, man, these dudes are paying thousands of dollars to go to Delgado.
Mm-hmm.
If you gonna give me $1,000, man, I'm gonna put you in a spot to where you're gonna develop and grow. You give me $1,000, I'm getting you to mid-major D1.
Right,
If you give me $1,000 and you tell me, or I tell you you're going to Delgado, I hope you slap me in the face. That's the way I feel, because it's not cool,
right, right,
And so I started doing that, and unofficially, um, until my wife actually told me, hey, I need you to start getting compensated. You're away from the house. You got to get some kind of compensation for doing it. So I
yes,
started a
sir.
business in 2014 called LTG All Sports. The first 6 kids I got into school were softball players. Softball players that didn't have any opportunities. They were all seniors, came to me through a travel team organization that's still to this day probably one of the best organizations in New Orleans, NOLA Softball, with no opportunities. And my job was to follow them at showcase events and push them to college coaches while they were playing. So the first 6 girls get signed. I get a football player from Denham Springs, reaches out to one of our guys that's working in Baton Rouge out of the blue. Kid's 6'2", 185, runs a 4.5 40, great hands, great receiver, can block downfield, no opportunity. We wind up getting him to Southeastern. One of my guys in Baton Rouge wound up getting him a spot at Southeastern right when football started back up. His name was Keandre Brooks. And
Okay,
so from there, then the baseball players came in. Basketball players started coming. Hey, coach, can you help me? Can you help me? And man, it made me understand my purpose in this world was help these dudes because nobody helped you. So that's
right,
basically my motto. So when people come at me, motto is, prove everybody wrong. That's my whole goal in life is to prove people wrong because somebody could tell you no all day long. We've been told no plenty of times and we prove people wrong all the time.
right, right.
So right now, to this day, baseball wise, I think we currently have 24 guys playing collegiate baseball right now. I think we have 10 that are
Awesome.
Division I players at HBCUs. At mid majors, we have 2 guys at UNO. And then within a 5-year time frame, we put a total of 76 kids playing college baseball in 5 years.
Nice.
Yeah,
And down here, it was totally different. These kids, the thing that, we talk about all the time, the kids, they have access to everything, man. So I tell these kids all the time, me, Ben, D, you already know, if we wanted to go to a personal trainer, our people needed money. My dad
right.
didn't have money. He was working 2 jobs just for me to play baseball at a public
Yup,
school. You know, both of your moms killed themselves, man. We spent plenty of times outside till 9 o'clock at night trying to entertain each other until y'all moms came home and y'all were just my brothers. So I just wanted to be there. We would just chill, hang out.
right,
And those type things built me. probably built you guys. That's why we help the community so much. And the access and not having the access that these guys have today and have the knowledge about everything in life is really what my story is. So that's pretty much my story, and I want to kill that story part because we got some stuff to chop up. I
Right.
want to hear some questions for you guys because I'm wide open, keep it 100 because that's what it's all about.
D, I
All right.
mean, and I'm just going, that story, man. Like that's the motivation that I could say we all had. Because I mean, you right, seeing and hearing kids that ain't getting the opportunity to do something a little further, and you can give it back to them. I mean, yeah, your time, is valuable to your family as well.
Right.
But for you to help out all those kids so far, I mean, look, they're going to do the same thing. At least one of them are going to do the same thing you did. If not, most of them will. Um,
Right.
Absolutely.
and dude, yeah, man. D, I know you probably got something you want to.
Right. So my question is, all right, being that the kids are different today from when we grew up, all right. My question to you is, how do you get talent at Higgins now? How do you get that talent? Because think about it. No Mike, there's probably not no Mike Perry back there at Higgins right now. And what I mean by Mike Perry, knew Mike wanted to play baseball. I knew you wanted to play baseball. So now, with this day and age, even though your son now he doesn't go to Higgins, what kid do you feel like is the Mike Perry at Higgins that wants to play baseball? And you don't have to say his name, but do they have those kids back there?
Yes, man, and D, this is where I love. So I was a pitching coach. To let everybody know, I was a pitching coach at De La Salle public private school uptown last year. Went from a 13 and 11 program tournament to an 18 and 12 program. Won a first round playoff game. I was. This is not downgrading them, but I'm a reserve guy and don't like outside interference. If you ask me to coach, I'm gonna be a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Don't bring the political side and bring in this side and that side and have parents talk. I go to Higgins and I love coaching at Higgins because I have Dominican kids, I have African American kids, I have white kids, I have some Vietnamese kids that want to play baseball. They show up and they focus, laser focus on me because I
Okay.
teach them and they want to learn. I coach the other side where everybody knows everything. Now, my job last year was controlling the egos. Now I'm trying to build egos
Okay.
because they got the talent, they don't have the knowledge. So now it's my
Gotcha.
job to drop knowledge and teach these kids. But there's kids that go because here, you guys know, if you want to play high end anything, you got to go to the Catholic League, plain and
Yes.
simple. Or go towards Luling, Destrehan, play in those areas because that's where the public school kids excel really well.
Right.
Here, the kids that do not have the money, don't have the means, didn't play travel ball where kids or Catholic League coaches can poach them. That's who goes to Higgins. And they got two kids that speak broken English that
Mm-hmm.
actually come from the islands, come from
Mm.
Dominican Republic, that can both flat out play. Nobody knows about them. I do.
Wow.
I know about them. So now my goal is to take them from high school and then put them in front of people they need to be in front of to make their life change, whether it's
Gotcha.
collegiately, professionally, whatever we have to do, but definitely collegiately because they can play.
Okay.
But those guys reach out to their friends or the guys that are not getting playing time at the Catholic League schools and say, hey, bro,
Mm-hmm.
Coach Mike's at Higgins. Coach Cliff Harris is the head football coach at Higgins.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to go back over there because they got dudes that are going to take care of you, right? So that's where we're at now. We don't
Okay.
have we don't have the 5-star kids that say, "Oh, I'm going to Higgins. I want to be a Hurricane." That's out the window. That's being honest.
Right.
But they have the 2 or 3 kids that trickle in, and then once you start it's all about establishing the culture. And
Right.
once that culture is established, everything can be done from there. And that culture is there. Now it's about building camaraderie and actually building up kids and teaching the right way. Because if you do things the right way, good things happen. Plain and
Yes, sir.
simple.
Totally
It's,
agree
it's
with you.
Yeah,
that's where it's at.
So
that's
and that's funny that you said that because think about it, Mike. When we was growing up, we wanted to go to the Catholic schools. Like you said,
Yes.
you turned it down. I went, and shout out to Clifford Harris. He was going to be on the show as well. Uh, who's the football coach, the head football coach now, and he went to the Catholic school, and then he went over to the public school because that was back in the days. That was the thing to do, was to go to the public school because we felt like you would get noticed
Yes.
being at the private schools. And so like I always look at Hunter. Y'all remember Terrence Hunter, right?
Yes. Yep.
Played running back at John Eric. And I always look at Terrence Hunter. And Terrence Hunter was, I'm talking a phenomenal athlete. Went to the public school. And Terrence could have went D1 anywhere. He was just that good. He could have went D1 anywhere. And that's why I had that question because the kids going to the public schools or they still want to go to these private schools? Because think about it. Rummel about what 5 years ago was getting the top kids
No, and D,
basketball.
one of the biggest things I can tell you and Ben, so this is real talk. The championship teams they had were 85% West Bank kids at Rumble.
Mm,
You never heard of that. That
wow,
that actually passed in front of Shaw every day to go to Metairie.
wow.
So that's just to tell you
Didn't
the
know
talent
that.
that's here.
Right,
Like every kid that was a ball player, the Jamar Chase, the guys of that level and talent level, they few and far between, but they had guys that were on right below Chase that bypassed every school on the West Bank to go to Rummel. And
wow.
that was the heyday. That was this is just being real. And I'm not mad at them because they got a great education. They got to play at the highest level. They got to play against the best competition. And we all know the story that half of them wrote, including Jamar. So it's a great thing. But for us to get those guys back, it's the only reason the kids don't go to the public schools nowadays, man. It's just being honest. Parents want the best for their kids no matter what it is.
Mhm,
I want the
mhm.
best for my son.
Right.
Our school system we're in a failing school system as far as academics. If it wouldn't be for that, and if kids would just understand it don't matter what school you go to, you get what you put in, the public schools would actually have more ball players and
Mm,
more people that played activities after school. But right now, that's the number one contributing factor is parents wanting their kids to get the better education and being in a structured environment. That's being honest.
yeah. That's
wow.
yo. I'm tripping out because D. When you say that bus is passing right by the school to get to Rummel, those are the options they got now.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, and just back what we were saying, if we had those options, we'd probably be jumping on those buses too. You know what I'm saying? Like to
Yeah.
go do that
No,
same.
and that's real because nobody ever came to us and said, "Man, you ever thought about going across the river and go to school?"
Well, and see, I'm
I
gonna
mean,
tell you, but
you
see,
know,
yeah. Well, I had the option to go to St. Aug.
correct, but
Yeah.
that so that opportunity presented itself to you, but Rummel never came over here. Brother Martin never came over here. Holy Cross never came over. But those guys they were getting tired of getting beat by the West Bank kids. So they're like, the
Right.
only way we could beat them is by letting them join us. So we got to
Yeah,
do something,
yeah, that's
you
it.
know.
Yeah.
and it happened because the whole world, besides John Curtis, because John Curtis was always going after kids that wanted to play ball. You had an opportunity. If you wanted to go to Curtis, you reached out to the administration. Curtis was there as an outlet for all of us because
Yes,
we knew
sir.
what it was about.
True.
Everybody else, if you didn't go to Shaw, nobody was going across the river unless you went to St. Aug to play
Hmm.
basketball, maybe
Right.
football. And me and Ben talked about one of my 13-year-old coaches that graduated from St. Aug in 96. His name is Devin Rogers, and I told him I was going to hook y'all up with his information. But
Yeah.
Okay.
guy that graduated from Aug, he's from Harvey, played at Harvey Playground when Harvey was still a playground.
Mm.
Um, through 96, he was in the low 90s and at St. Aug. He goes up Nichols, throws 96. The stories, I'll let him explain it, but
Yeah.
he was 96, but he couldn't throw strikes consistently. But he could throw
Oh.
96. Not everybody could throw 96.
Right. Right.
Cleveland Indians walk in, they see the dude, he's 6'6", 220. They like 6'6", 220, throws 96. Why not give him a shot? What's the worst he's going to do? He's going to be
Right.
that guy. He wound up being that guy. But now he coaches with me, and it's a well-known story. He played with guys that were high school all-state players
Right.
that played at Harvey Playground, and so it's a good story. But that's where everything's at, Ben D.
Cool, man. Cool.
We just trying to do things the right way, and that's where I'm always going to be. Do the things the right way, and good things happen.
Yeah. Well, look. I appreciate your time. Because
Yes, sir.
you know, I know we asked you some questions. And look, I'm just gonna say you gotta you gotta subscribe to our, podcast. I mean, you can get at us Facebook, Instagram. I mean, Mike. I mean, I know you out there in other social media stuff. Um, but D, I mean, you got anything else you want to say, D?
No, I appreciate you, Mike, man. Thanks for getting those answers to me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, and I'm always here, always available for you guys. Always good talking to y'all. One day we have to get up at each other one day soon in the summertime and kick it a little bit, man, because it's a lot of fun times, a lot of fun memories we need to catch
Yes,
up on.
sir.
So it's good stuff.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
man, definitely do. And I can say this, Mike. Listen, this ain't gonna be the only episode. We got more
No,
episodes
sir.
to do. I appreciate
Absolutely.
you, coming on. But I'm gonna go ahead and if y'all ain't got no other questions or so, I mean, I know it's getting late. We got to get off this show, but I'm gonna go ahead and end it with what we normally do. Come back on the B&D Connection next
Yes,
episode. Let's
yes,
do it.
sir.
Absolutely.